And we are live. We're going to wait until the announcements are made. Welcome to Comedic Ascension for March 27th, 2022. Come on in. Welcome to Comedic Ascension. It is good to have everyone here. Welcome. March 27th, 2022. And today, giving the ascension will be the Wenwet of the Shrine of Ma'at, as our high priestess and high priest are gallivanting through Europe, through Italy and Paris, as I'm sure some of you have seen in Tepianika's pictures on Facebook. So today we come to you with, of course, another great ascension and a great message and everything else that we're going to get ready to do today. We want to say thank you for joining us and being a part of what it is that we do. Yes, so thank you for coming in. So we are going to get started very shortly with our opening of the way. But before we do, everybody, shout out where you are from. Where are you checking in from? I see Curtis Jackson. He is an initiate in the Shrine of Ma'at, going through initiation. We have Nikki Taylor, who is checking in from Hartford, Connecticut, the heartbeat, baby. That's where I was born and raised. What's up? Thank you, Nikki. We have Yashiria Sakina Ra, another initiate at the Shrine of Ma'at. All the initiates are here. We've got Rich Douglin, who is an initiate of the Shrine. We see Virgo Venom from Tracy from Indianapolis. I remember that name. That is, you have been on here before. Thank you. Ashley Amara. Ooh, the messages are going faster. We see Ashley. Thank you for being here. Craig Hawkins, from the DMV area. I have to say, Ashley is an initiate. Creative Crafter Trapper from Oklahoma City. Would love to meet like minds closer to me. Okay, DM us on Facebook to see. I don't think we have too many people from Oklahoma, but just DM us anyway. We have Brittany Motley, who was an initiate from the Shrine. She's from Kepru Ma'at, Anke Ma'at, a bet. Richard Douglas is in New York. Okay, we have Anderson Williams in Springfield, Ohio. All right, thank you. Amun Ra Akaten Ma'at. Aken Ma'at. Janae, she is an initiate in the Shrine from Grand Rapids, Michigan. Oh my goodness, all of our initiates, thank you for joining. Jason Holmes in Lincoln, Nebraska, another initiate. Atumra Reincarnations. Well, thank you for joining and shouting us out. This is what I'm seeing here in the chat. So, okay, so we are going to get started with the opening of the way. I can continue to read the comments as we go forth. So, Waseret, would you like to begin with the opening of the way?
Dua Abushashat. Anka, my aunt family, let's get ready to stand up and get into the pose of adoration, which is the left hand forward, the left foot forward, the right hand slightly back, and the right foot slightly back. Take a deep breath and get ready to chant the word for life, which is Ankh. Anetrak in Bet Het. Nuke in Bet Het. Anetrak Hapi. Nuke Hapi. Tua'u in turn. We're going to turn to the left. Anetrak Circuit. Nuke Circuit. Anetrak Kepsanuf. Nuke Kepsanuf. to Au and Ter. Anetrak Ast, Nuk Ast. Anetrak Amset, Nuk Amset, to Au and Ter. Anetrak Neat, Nuk Neat. Anetrak Dwamutef, Nuk Dwamutef, to Au and Ter. Anetrak Newt, Nuk Newt. Anetrak Geb, Newt Geb, to Au and Ter. Anetrak Shu, 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 Nuk Shu. Anetrak Tefnut, 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 Nuk Tefnut, to Au and Ter. Anetrak Pa'ut Interu, Nuk Pa'ut Interu. Anetrak Imbu Interu, Nuk Bu Imbu Interu, to Au and Ter. Take a deep breath. To Au and Ter. Thank you to the divine.
Thank you, Waseret, for doing the opening of the way. Now, the opening of the way is a very important practice if you are a Kemetic practitioner or if you practice other forms of African spiritual system. What it does is it recognizes the feminine and masculine divine energies that are paired. It recognizes the earth and the stars and the heavens and the wind and the rain, and it is so beautiful. It is such a beautiful practice. It was put together by our shrine elder, Baba Heru, and it's something that we do in the morning during your morning routine when we open up anything that's important and you want to open up your day in the right type of balance and paying homage to our divine feminine and our divine masculine. And that's why the opening of the way is so important. And that's why we do the opening of the way when we have our Kemetic Ascension. So it isn't just something that we do just to do it. There's meaning behind the ritual. And we could do, maybe we could do a whole ascension on the opening of the way because it has so many components to it. So if you're curious about it, DM us. We can explain some parts to it, and it is something that really kind of anchors your day. So when we say thank you to the divine and having used this ritual, it's really something that anchors you into your own spirituality. So Abut Waseret, thank you so much for guiding us through that. So before we get into Hesse, I'm going to go back to some people in the chat. We have Ashley Amara, who is in Las Vegas. We have Kazi, a member of the Shrine. She's here. Welcome, Kazi. We have Spencer Davis in North Carolina. We have Shen Ka. Welcome. Deborah Kennedy, who is also a member. We have a lot of people here. Amun Ra. Akten Ma'at is in Alabama. We have Lisa Speed Attaway. Hello, Lisa. Good to see you here. And let's see who else. Bro Pimpamzi. Obibini Kanefer Webin Ra. Uncle Jocelyn to you as well. He's a member of the shrine. With lots of people here. Hetepu Akem Ma'at Abed, thank you. From Haru Asar. From Rael Markel, she is an initiate. Ankh and Ma'at, love, light, peace, and positive vibe. Hashtag balance. I love it. Good to see each of you. Oh, thank you. And to feel your presence. And dua from the Wenwed. So I'm gonna continue to read. Oh, and she is in Illinois. Bropen Pamsey is in Philly. Okay. Haru Dahuti is in Oakland, California. We have the Schaefers in Ghana and Nandi in Atlanta. Okay, and Mars Goodman on the Lower East Side. Okay, these comments are coming in, and we can continue to go back to the chat throughout. But right now, we're going to shift to one of our Hesse masters that's in the shrine. Abut Mahert and her lovely Nefer voice. So, Abut Mahert, take it away.
To our winter, Uncle Ma'at family, to winter, I thank you, I honor you, Abut Shashat, and as well, my Abut illustrious Washeret, who came forth opening the way for us. I honor you, the divinity within you. I give thanks to all of you. My name is Abut Mahert, and I am one of the priests in the Shrine of Ma'at, and I will be bringing forth Hesi today. So grateful. Welcome, welcome, welcome. The Hesi that I chose today is a Hesi that Abut Washred and myself put together a couple of years ago, and it is entitled Webony in Heru. Uncle Ma'ad Abu Ames, so happy to see you on the set. Twanter, yes. Webony in Heru. Webony in Heru says, rise in Heru. Rise in Heru. And we know that Heru, the symbol of the falcon, the symbol of the sun, the symbol of victory, the one who fought Set, the one every day that we, as we rise, we want to emulate. For we are our own heroes. Heru is also the word for hero, the word for hour, and the word, I want to say Shiro, for that feminine energy. I say, so as we rise in Webony and Heru, we have to Saruj Ma'at. We have to Saruj Ma'at before we can Ankh in Ma'at, live in Ma'at. So those are the words translated. I'm going to try to do this with the music, but it goes like this. Webony in Heru, Webony in Heru, Webony in Heru, rise. Webony in Heru, every day. Webony in Heru, Webony in Heru, and then you must Saruj Ma'at, Saruj Ma'at. You got to Saruj Ma'at, Saruj Ma'at. Talk to your mother, Saruj Ma'at. Talk to your sister, Saruj Ma'at. Let go of resentment, Saruj Ma'at. Can't hold to anger, Saruj Ma'at. And then you can Ankh in Ma'at, 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 Ankh in Ma'at. Webony in Heru, 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 Webony in Heru. Webony in Heru, 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 Webony, and then we're gonna Saruj Ma'at, Saruj Ma'at, Saruj Ma'at, Saruj Ma'at. Heart light as a feather, Saruj Ma'at, Suruj, Ma'at. It all begins with me. Suruj, Ma'at, Suruj, Ma'at. Let go of false pride. Suruj, Ma'at. Clean out your temple. Suruj, Ma'at. And then you can. In Ma'at. 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 You know I want to get up and dance, right? In my eye. Go forth, live in my eye, be in my eye, do my eye. I shall give thanks.
Abu Mahert, that was beautiful, as expected. Okay, let me say that again because I was frozen for a second. Abu Mahert, that was beautiful. And we had so many compliments in the chat, and your voice is so lovely. And when we have our wed sessions and when we're together, as we have been in the past, when Abu Mahert feels it, she gonna get up and dance. So I know you wanted to get up and dance, Abu Mahert. You stayed in your seat. I know you wanted to get up and do that. But thank you for that lovely Hesse and segue into the word from the Stay by Eat. We are going to have our word from the Stay by Eat as well as our Ascension message from Abu Kansekamwe. And I'm ready for it because we all know that it is going to be great. So, Abu Kansekamwe, give us that Stay by Eat.
Anka Ma'a, everyone, and Dwao Abu Scott and Dwao Abu Mahert for that Nefer Hesi, right? That falls right in line with what I want to talk about because we have to Saruj Ma'at, right? We have to Saruj Ma'at in order to continue to live in Ma'at. And in order to Saruj Ma'at, we have to make sure that we're following a code, right? A code of conduct and a code of ethics. And that code is Ma'at. So, that being said, I want to share something with you right quick. Let me share the words of the ancestors with you to remind you how we should be moving, right? Punish the robber and save those who suffer. Do not be a flood against the petitioner. Be aware of the approach of eternity. Desire to live long. For as it is said, doing right is breath for the nose. Punish those who deserve punishment, and none will equal your righteousness. Answer not good with evil, and put not one thing in place of another. The balancing of the land lies in Ma'at. Truth, justice, and righteousness. Do not seek falsely, for you are great. Do not act lightly, for you have weight. Be not untrue, for you are the balance. And do not swerve, for you are the standard. You are on the level with the balance. If it tilts, then you will lean too. Do not drift, rather steer. Do not rob, rather act against the robber. For one is not really great if he is great with greed. If you turn your face from violence, who will punish wrongdoing? So I want you to remember that as we go forward in this presentation, right? There's a code of ethics that you must follow. That code of ethics is Ma'at. Let me just share my screen really quickly. All right. Mhm. Okay.
All right. I'm gonna
This
add that.
okay? All right. Here we are. So here we have the 42 laws of Ma'at, some laws to remind you, a code of ethics. Here we have, as African spiritual practitioners, especially Kemites, right? We follow the 42 laws of Ma'at. This is how we stay on code, right? A code of ethics. Not do I speak angrily and arrogantly, not do I speak scornfully, not have I worked evil. I have not caused anyone to shed tears. I have not cursed anyone in thought, words, or deeds. Not do I place myself on a pedestal. All right. Remember that as we go forward in this presentation. You need a foundation to stand on in order to live your life in Ma'at, in order to Saruj Ma'at. So we seek to be in tune with our ancestors, right? As African spiritual practitioners. And we honor their way of life as Afro spiritual practitioners. We find comfort in remembering who we are in doing so. That is, divine beings dwelling in the light of creation. Ma'at, the foundation upon which we stand, is where creation takes place. So it is up to us to live in Ma'at and move forward in those code of ethics, those laws. So, everybody doesn't practice the same spirituality. Everybody has their own walk, right? So, but I want to ask people this question. I want to challenge people today, right? Who does your code serve? Do you stick to the code? Do you enforce the code? What is the code? All right. Remember these questions. Ask yourself these questions. We, as African people, as Black people, we should be following a code of ethics. So, who does your code serve? Do you stick to the code? Do you enforce the code? What is the code? Does your code transcend your political ideology, your theological ideology, your economic class, your nationality, your social class, and your ethnic background? So, some people, the laws they follow, the morals they follow, they allow their political ideology to trump what they should be doing as
Mm,
African. Some people uh, allow their religious uh, morality or their religious teachings to trump what they should be naturally doing as African people, as Black people, right? Um, and I see so many people having that challenge with religion right now, especially those who are newly walking and newly practicing Sankofa and trying to reach back, right? Is it in Ma'at to disparage those and speak scornfully against people who are trying to practice that Sankofa and look back and go back and fetch it, right? And try to just get back in touch with our roots, try to find that African spiritual system, try to get back into the culture. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna check on that, right? Because some people like to demonize others for their practices. But the funny thing is, those same religious groups, some people that do that within those religions, they want you to respect their religion, right? So let's check that, right? Let's challenge people today. Does your code transcend your political ideology, your theological ideology, your economic class, your nationality, right? So look at the Ukraine situation right now, right? You have Africans from various African countries that are stuck in Ukraine or had to march hundreds of kilometers, right, to seek freedom and refuge from the turmoil and the war, right, that's going on in Ukraine. So you have reports of people that are like old women having to walk, right? Women carrying their children having to walk so far to escape the war that has nothing to do with them, and they're Africans. Now look at what's going on here. Are we putting ourselves first? Right? Let's challenge each other for a second, right? Are we putting each other first as Africans when you have uh like Hampton University, for example, right now, um paying or offering to pay free tuition to Ukrainian students? Now, what about all the black people and the African people that could have used that free tuition, that free schooling? Are we putting each other first? And I'm going to show you how and why we should be putting each other first, and why should we uh, stop the madness, right? So we know that our ancient ancestors observed nature, right? So by living a holistic life, one draws closer to the natural code of law, that is ma'at. So we honor the natural makeup of our divine essence, from our ka to our ba, right down to our DNA, right? And we do this by observing neter, nature, right? So our ancestors, one of the creatures that we observed is the bee. So here we have one of our ancestors on the wall, you see here depicted in the middle, offering up the pose of adoration to the bees, recognizing the divinity in the bees. So we know that uh, the bee, right? We could observe that like our ancestors did, and we realize that the bee is on code with nature. I'm going to show you that in a second, and how humans could learn from the bee. So, but here's a little language for you, right quick. Bit meaning honey, biti meaning beekeeper. And we know that Nusut biti means king. So, what was the job of the king in ancient Kemet? Post it in the chat if you know what the king's job was, one of the king's jobs. Let's say the main job of the king, right? The Nusut biti. So, I'm gonna take a second and allow people to answer that. If you know the answer, post it in the chat. So, the Nasut BT's one of their main job was to Saruj Ma'at. Their job was to their best ability, Unk in Ma'at, live in Ma'at, keep the code of Ma'at. That's what the king's job was, the Nasut BT. So we see how important the bees are, right? So now, today, if we are to observe the bees like our ancestors did, right, we could look to certain bees that did not stick to a code, right? Um, Typically, I mean, when you observe the bees, you wouldn't look at a bumblebee. You're not going to see a bumblebee gathering honey or trying to fend for the queen of a pharaoh bee or another species of bees, right? You're not going to see a bumblebee trying to build a hive for the queen of a honeybee. Okay. So, black people, Africans, we could observe the animals. The animals know how to act. Do we need a reminder by looking at nature, netter? Yeah, I think so. I think we do. So, again, observe nature, observe netter, right? Remember that going forward. So we could look to the bees. And by the way, let me share with you some examples of bees that were off code. And the reason why they were off code is because humans introduced them, a certain specific type of species, to another type of species, right? So we have Apis mellifera, right? Apis mellifera has negatively affected some Apis florera population species of bees, right? So, and we could even look to see some bee species have gone extinct as a result, um, such as Apis nerctica, Apis letterhamia, right? Different bee species we could look at and observe in history have gone extinct, right? Because they were introduced to each other's populations. They had to share the same resources. They couldn't live in harmony in Ma'at, and partially due to human involvement. So let's remember we must Saruj Ma'at, and by doing so, we could observe nature to help us do so, to help us stick to the code, right? So stick to the code, African people, black people. He that is grasping in entertainment shall himself have an empty belly. He that causeth strife cometh himself to sorrow. Take not such a one for thy companion. It is a man's kindly acts that are remembered of him in the years after his life. Right. So when we see people out here not sticking to the code, and we as Kemites, we stick to Ma'at. So we don't speak to cause tears. We don't choose to speak, or we try not to choose to speak in such a way that offends people, right? So we have to be very careful as Kemites. But is your code, is part of your code taking a step back to think about what you're saying? Is what you're saying causing strife? Possibly. Is what you're saying causing one to shed a tear? Is what you're saying causing possible danger to your brothers and your sisters? It's a lot of off code conduct going on around here. Now, if you follow a different religion, fine. A different form of spiritual system, fine. But just make sure you understand your code, and within whatever science you choose to practice, and stick to that code. Does your code fall in line with the questions that I just asked, right? Does your code fall in line? Does your code transcend your political ideology, your theological ideology, your economic class, your nationality, your social class, and ethnic background, right? So remember these words from the maxims of Ptah Hotep as we move forward. So I want to ask everyone a question. Now, here's a picture of a poster. I took this picture of a poster in a friend's office, right? So here is a poster you could see here of many different police officers throughout history of American history, right? So tell me, which one of these police officers looks the least threatening? Which one of these police officers looks the least threatening?
Right. None of them look less threatening than the next. It looks like they're in like an historic context, and it's all been violence. So,
Mm.
oh, Jason Holmes said second from the left. From the left. I can't.
Mm. Second from the left. Okay.
Interesting. Second from the left.
Anybody else? You feel they all look they all look like the same level of a threat, you feel?
Well, for me, so they all have access to firearms. So in a way, they would be equal. But if you look at the fourth from the left, or the one that's to the right of the police officer on the motorcycle, he looks like the one to the right of him looks like he's holding up a badge or something. I can't really tell.
He's
I
got a
don't
gun in his hand too.
Oh, does he?
No,
Okay, I was gonna ask you that.
yeah,
I'm gonna put it so that it's in solo, so we can see it closer.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, is it in? Is it in? Yeah, I'm gonna do a full screen layout.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Does that make it easier? Okay, I can see the gun better. I see the gun better now.
That was an interesting answer that Sen gave. The guy holding the poster, the paper. So you
Oh,
have different threats here, right? So
mhm.
if you look at all of these police officers, you have one that's holding up some type of law, some type of, he could be issuing some type of threatening document. The other officer next to him, he has a threatening document, a gun in the next officer's hand. The next officer, he's one of those old school Tomahawk racists. Probably he looked like he ready to whoop some behind with that club in his hand. The next officer right here, he's ready to sick this German Shepherd. He's probably trained the German Shepherd to be racist. Who knows? Sick the dog on somebody, right? This officer with the motorcycle in the middle, he looks like he could possibly run somebody over, right? There's threats here. There's threats, and a boot shot. You're right. You're absolutely right. They could all pose the same threat, but check something out how they designed this poster. So the next officer has a gun and the badge raised. The officer in the middle has his hands stand. It's like a stand down position, right? Hands behind his back, right? The next officer, the lady officer, has her hand on her gun, right? On her hip, like she's ready to shoot somebody. She's trigger happy. The next officer is in like riot military gear, right? He's got his weapon ready. So the black officer, or you could argue that's an officer of color standing next to the lady, standing down. He's standing down with his guard down, his hands behind his back. So he's the least threatening, arguably, in this picture, right? So follow me here. Follow me here. What does this have to do with standing with the code? Let me show you what type of world we live in. So in 1948, 8 African American men joined the Atlanta police force. So what you're looking at here is the first Atlanta police officers that were black, right? And they were not allowed to arrest so-called white people, Tomahawk people, right? They were not allowed to arrest Tomahawk people. So imagine you're not allowed to have a gun. So what I'm telling you here is white supremacy is set up in such a way where they don't want you to enforce your own code or their code. They don't want you to enforce their laws in this land or your own laws. They want you to live lawless. They don't want you to live in Ma'at. They don't want you to Saruj Ma'at. They don't want you to follow the laws of nature, right? Okay. And this picture is an example, and that poster was another example. They don't even want you to enforce any type of codes or laws. They want you as a African black people to be lawless. Do you follow where I'm coming from here? Look at this. These police officers, imagine in the 1940s where they could have possibly encountered something where a so-called Tomahawk or a so-called white person, maybe they were a racist where who knows, they might have assaulted a person of color, right? They might have assaulted a young black child. They might have raped a black woman. They're not allowed to arrest. You follow me? They're not allowed to arrest any so-called white person. These are the black people who signed up as the police officers, the ATLPD, right? They don't want you to enforce a law. So we see how important a code of law is, and to just the power to be able to enforce your own law in your own home, right? They don't want you to do that. So here we have Agent 800, James Wormley Jones, the first black FBI agent, right, on the left. And we have J. Edgar Hoover, right, on the right. So remember now, they don't want you to enforce a code, but they'll have you living lawless, and they'll have you causing strife amongst each other, being off code as much as possible, right? So the first black FBI agent, right, he was doing the work of J. Edgar Hoover in such a way where he put words of strife onto his fellow African brothers, his fellow Black people. He put words of strife on them. And today we remember him as what? Like the Maxima Bata Hotep said. It said, "He that is grasping for entertainment shall himself have an empty belly. He that causeth strife cometh himself to sorrow. Take not such a one for thy companion." You don't even want to be friends with this type of person, Agent 800, right? Somebody who is off code, right? Somebody who brought down not just one Black movement, but several Black movements, right? He was used, he was such a good FBI agent, right? That he was used multiple times, right? So you don't even want to be friends with this type of person. And how do we remember him? Right? In the Maxim Patah Hotep, it said, "It is a man's kindly acts that are remembered of him in the years after his life." How will we remember Mr. James Worthy Jones here? How will we remember J. Edgar Hoover? You know, it's not in Ma'at to be labeling Black African people as extremists, right? And we're going to show you more of that in just a second. Labeling and categorizing us is causing strife, right? Categorizing us as extremists and Black supremacists, you know, words like this. I mean, what is a Black supremacist? Come on. J. Edgar Hoover said that the Black Panthers was the most dangerous threat to the security of America. Really, what he's saying is the security of their code, you know, their laws, their hidden code of stay on a code of white supremacy, enforce that code, right? Benefit from that code. If you don't want to enforce it, just benefit from it. Okay. I had to go there. I had to go there, right? We have some people today who cause strife with their words, right? When you want to do the same thing that FBI agent 800 did in the past, when you want to do the same thing that FBI agent 800 did in the past and work to attach words to Black people and Black movements, right? You want to attach words like extremists, help to attach words onto Black African people that could harm them, like terrorists, extremism, right? And we're going to show you examples of that in a second. And when you bring in descendants and beneficiaries of that system, white supremacy, that seeks to harm us Black African people, when you bring in those beneficiaries of that system to critique us on Black History Month, might I add, when you bring in these people to encourage them to call us Black supremacists and call anybody a Black supremacist, you are categorizing and you're causing strife. And you're still causing it without trying to Saruj Ma'at. That could be a problem. And so I challenge those who do that. I challenge them to Saruj Ma'at. I challenge them to have a sit down with those who they claim that they love. I challenge them to sit down with them and have a conversation. Don't make comments that categorize and could cause a threat, because we live in a system of racism, white supremacy, where they like to attach these words, Black supremacist. What is a Black supremacist? Huh? Be careful what you're doing. Are you causing words of strife? Are you going to learn from history? Do you want to do the work of those who are on code with each other against the African and who are off code with the law of nature as well, because you're not supposed to be mistreating your brother and sister and you're not supposed to be mistreating those and causing strife towards those who may not share the same race as you? Does your code transcend your race? Does your code transcend your theological ideology? Does your code transcend your political ideology, your religious, your social, your economic? Better be careful, or you could end up like those in the past, Agent 800. I challenge my beloved brother. I challenge my beloved brother Garfield. I'm just showing you, I'm just giving you a little tough love. Here's a little tough love jab. I challenge you to Saruj Ma'at and do not join in or encourage others to categorize and to put labels on Black African people. That is an example of being way off code. I had to take it there. I had to challenge you. I had to address you, beloved brother, because when you choose to attach words like Black supremacists onto other Black people and other African people, you give the system of racist white supremacists the point to attack us and to use those words against us and to categorize us. And we know what happens when they categorize us. Black identity extremism, that's what the FBI is using against us right now. They're monitoring Black people and trying to attach that word onto us. So check this out, right? Here you have the movie Judas and the Black Messiah. Great movie, by the way. I think you should check it out if you have not seen it yet. So this movie is about Fred Hampton and the brother who betrayed him. Right? Look at this. Look at the actor in the middle. This is the actor. This is the guy who he played the role of on the left, the far left. This is the guy on the far right when he first was turned into a Judas, right? Look at the emptiness in his eyes. You know, they say the eyes is the window to the soul. Look at that ba. Look at the ka. Look at the ba. Look at the ka in those eyes. Right? Don't you see the emptiness? What did the Maximum Patal Hotep say? He that is grasping for an entertainment shall himself have an empty belly. An empty belly. He that causeth strife cometh himself to sorrow. Cometh himself to sorrow. Look at those eyes. Look at that emptiness. Look at that sorrow. The ancestors warned you. The ancestors gave you wise wisdom, right? Let's follow that. Do you want to end up like this brother with sorrow in his heart? For those of you who don't know, this brother committed suicide. Okay. Let's keep it moving. We need to Saruj Ma'at. And speaking of Saruj Ma'at, by the way, we have Saruj Ma'at research and debate team. And I must say, shout out to Sinette Brittany West, who's probably watching right now, for doing marvelous research. So here we have, and I encourage you all to go read this article, the New York Times. You can pull it back up. This issue was from May 9th, 1976. And on page 1, I'm just going to read a little bit from it. So in Fulton, Missouri, Saturday, Clarence M. Kelly, the FBI director, apologized to the American public for investigative abuses by the Bureau in the twilight of J. Edgar Hoover's career, page 20. Besides the 4 deaths of Black Panthers mentioned in the Senate committee's report, independent police and Panther sources said there had been 2 other slayings of Panthers in intra-party rivalry in New York City. So we know that, the FBI put Panther against Panther and tried to cause intra-party conflict, right? And then try to label us as violent in the process in order to help attach that extremist identity onto us that terrorists, those words are used throughout this article. I invite you to read this article for yourself when you have the time, right? The COINTELPRO campaign was an effort to combat dissidents and radicals. You see that? You see the labelism, right? Radicals, radicals. The part involving the Panthers, the committee report said, included an attempt to drive a wedge between two Panther leaders, Eldridge Cleaver and Huey P. Newton. The unexpressed major premise of the programs, the report went on, was that a law enforcement agency has the duty to do whatever is necessary to combat perceived threats to the existing social political order. Did you just catch that? Did you hear that? The unexpressed major premise of the programs, the report went on, was that a law enforcement agency has the duty to do whatever is necessary to combat perceived threats to the who? Existing social and political order. So they're really communicating with themselves, right? White supremacists, racists, right? They're telling you, Fred Hampton, Huey P. Newton, Eldridge Cleaver is a threat to their social and political order, right? So their social and political order, but they're not in code with the law of nature, because if you're in code with the law of nature, then your code that you follow should transcend social order. It should transcend your political order that you affiliate yourself with. It should transcend your religious ideology. It should transcend your nationality, your skin color, your sexuality, right? Your code should transcend all of those things. So, Black people, African people, I challenge you to ask yourself a question. Does your code transcend those things? So, and you can see here more in the article, a separate committee report on the FBI efforts against the Black Panthers said that although the claimed purpose of the program was to prevent violence, some of the tactics were clearly intended to foster violence. You see that? And many others could reasonably have been expected to cause violence. So they were really and truly, to look like, they're not doing harm. They're, to the public, they're going to portray themselves one way, obviously, but they're admitting right here to the reporter that, yeah, our tactics, COINTELPRO, yeah, it was causing violence. It was meant to cause violence, right? And by labeling Black African people as extremists, right? And they like to do it today, Black identity extremists, right? Black supremacists. And you, as an African person, if you engage in calling somebody a Black supremacist, you might as well be the same as this guy right here, or Agent 800 on the left. I challenge you to do better. I challenge you to do better. So take a look at this, right? Here we have some of the founders of the different religions, right? And I want you to remember many of these religious organizations, when they were founded, many of these people knew each other. They knew of each other. Some of these organizations were founded around the same time as each other, right? So not one of these guys tried to degrade each other's newly founded religions. They all sought to spread their religious ideas and convert people of color. Each of these religious organizations has a history of racism, yet they are not critiqued heavily in public by some Black platforms, right? So today we have people that want to categorize and put dangerous words and slogans onto Black organizations and whatnot, right? They want to speak words of that cause strife, and they want to say, "Oh, this is pseudo. That is pseudo. Well, if it's making you a better person and you're following a code of conduct that keeps you in line, right? Then what's the problem? How come none of these so-called white people, Tamahoos, were not uh trying to call one religious organization, oh, this is pseudo? You didn't see Charles Taze Russell saying to William Miller, you know what? Nah, that's pseudo. Your people need to come over here and follow this over here. William Miller wasn't telling Joseph Smith that, hey, you guys are pseudo. You guys, y- uh, we, hold on, slow down. Take a look at all these guys. They all seek to control who? Populations of everybody of any color, but their code, take a look at the code if you don't see it. The code with all of these guys, the one thing that they follow and they stuck to is we're going to control people with our religions. There's plenty to eat. We all could control our piece of the pie. That's the way they were thinking, right? And not only that, but the people following our religion, they're going to forget their code unless they're one of us. And I'm going to show you that. Here's a book that you could get. And I know a lot of people are struggling with their former background of religious upbringing if they choose to follow something different. So I challenge you to read this book, right? Crisis of Conscience by Raymond Franz, formerly known as Brother Franz, right? This guy is a former presiding overseer, one of the elders of the Jehovah's Witnesses, right? And he wrote a tell-all book. And I want to tell you a story of how, and there's many stories in this book where he shows you how you know people are made to be off code when they follow certain religious organizations. And it could be to their detriment if they don't remember who they are. Remember in the beginning of this presentation, I told you our ancestors followed the bees, right? So when you follow the bees put their hive first. They put their queen first. They put their kind first, and everything else later. Some bees can live in harmony with each other, different species, right? And we see the extinct ones, the ones that went extinct. So we see here, Brother Franz, right? Get this book. Back in the time of the Rwanda situation where you had the genocide, right? The Watchtower organization decided to make one group of people do something different than the other group of people. Follow me here. So the Watchtower organization of the Jehovah's Witnesses, uh, you had the genocide going on in Rwanda, and they told the people of the Tutsi tribe that you need to hold fast, be steadfast, and call on the name of Jehovah, and you will be saved. This is what they told them. And do not denounce your religion, even though you're being threatened, your life is being threatened. If you do not denounce your religion, you will be saved. You will live in paradise forever, so on and so forth. And yeah, I'm not challenging that belief, but what I am challenging is the code. Does your code transcend your religious thinking? Does your code transcend your political ideology? Does your code transcend your skin color? Okay. So now you had conflict going on in Poland at the time. You had conflict going on in Mexico at the time. Now, the Watchtower organization allowed the Mexican people within their organization and the Polish brothers and sisters within their organization to choose to participate in elections and things of that sort, right? Because Jehovah's Witnesses are not allowed to vote, okay, in political elections. So they were allowed to do these things so that way they could appear as if they conform to society. So that way they would not be gunned down and killed for their religious practices, right? So follow me now. Now you told the Tutsi people of the Rwanda situation, right? Not to denounce their religion, and as a result, you know what happens next. True story, and there's more accounts of that in this book, Crisis of Conscience. This is somebody who was a presiding overseer, an elder, not just any old practicing Jehovah's Witness. This was an elder in the organization. So if you're having struggles with your family and whatnot, um, maybe you need to ask them if what they're practicing, if it is conducive for them, and is it conducive for them in the sense that it allows them to stick to nature, stick to nature, right? We are the elders of the planet, so the parents must set the example instead of letting the children disrupt the foundation. Don't get knocked off your balance. The foundation is Ma'at. Ma'at is the foundation upon which creation takes place. So stick to the code, enforce the laws of Ma'at, and invoke them in your life. And so I'm gonna hand the mic over to Abu Shashat.
He's reading. Uncle Mine, can you hear me, my brother?
I hear you.
Okay. I'm going to jump in here for a second. You don't mind? But before I jump in, my name is Amesu Rukuti Ma'at Amin Ra, and I am one of the priests at the Shrine of Ma'at and also an elder. I'm going to jump on here for a minute, but before I speak, I would like one of my other elders to give me permission to speak. When we're elders.
Ashe, Ashe, I'm going to stand in and absolutely you have permission to move forward.
Okay, I will move forward. One of the things that you see here at the Shrine of Ma'at is that we like to bring forth truth and we do research. I remember the first time I joined after becoming a member of the shrine, and we had finished our ceremony, and we was out on 125th Street, and we were all standing in this group. We was in front of Sarnetta, and we were talking, and he turned around and asked me, "What did you say? Did I have something to say?" So the first thing I'm going to bestow on everyone here, including those who are members or not members, is that you will always run into teachers, people who will bring forth knowledge. But you must remember, foremost, that you are the scholar. You are the scholar. You have teachers. You have people that have come before you to bring a message. You should be the scholar. Do the research. What is going to help this African community is not a bunch of us just being in front of you, bringing forth a message. You're going to have to do the research. So the first thing I'm going to touch on first is what my brother brought forth about police officers. And he asked the question. The first thing is, where did the term police officer come from? Where did it get its beginning? You'll see that one of the first beginnings of the police officers was in Boston. I think it was around 1836, 1800s. It then moved down into New York and Philadelphia, and they formed it. It was due to protect commerce, goods, and services. In the South, police officers were the goods and services that they were trying to maintain was slaves. If they had run away, uh, it was protection of their goods and services, protect those who will come back down and get that. So that's the first thing you should know about and learn about this. But also learn that these people have learned from us. They have taken from our ancient history how to move forward. So I'm going to give you a code, a law. They always use codes and law. I'm going to put this forth and I want you to remember it. Look it up. This is their rule of conduct and they never tell you about it, but here it is. It's 63 C, stands for Charlie, space 2D, subsection 247. That goes for all. I don't care if they're a judge, a police officer, state trooper, all that. This is their code of conduct. A lot of us feel that their code of conduct is also the Constitution. Right? They say, "Oh, you violate our Constitution." Remember, the Constitution wasn't for us. It wasn't really for no American citizen. But they understood the premises of a foundation of a people. So your foundation will always be one of the 10 amendments. The first 10 amendments deals with human rights, your natural living rights given to you by the Creator. It's in ancient times they borrowed that from the so-called 10 commandments, which also we can say came forth from what? The 42 laws of Ma'at. Here we go full circle again. So understand that if you're gonna when you're looking for justice and you want to move forward with honor, you have to know. They basically said that we will not hide the information. We'll put forth the information, but we won't tell them where to go find it and where to research it. And it's usually right under your nose. So in essence, yes, this is the thing that you know. Just like for us as Kemites, our rule and conduct falls under the 42 laws of Ma'at. And to the best of our abilities, every day we walk forward, we try to do that. But the first person, as my brother was speaking, a rule of conduct, it's not so much for someone else, it's for you. The first universe, the first state, the first land, everything that you are trying to uphold, when you start working with yourself first, then you're able to project it out to others. Some people try to take this road and they say, I'm going to project this onto others. This is what they did to us. They tried to project it onto us without first projecting it on themselves and walking in that truth and justice. So that's the first thing I wanted to cover. The second thing I want to cover is what my brother was talking about, and he present forward, that we here at the Shrine of Ma'at, this is being recorded, right? Okay. All right, now. I'm stepping forth now. I'll take over now, brother. We at the Shrine of Ma'at, of a group of young, not like-minded individuals, elders, young people, married, all that. We don't come in strife. We don't come in anger. We come in peace.
Right.
That's how we come forth.
Twanter. I gotta give up,
But,
you know.
but when a young individual is going to speak, and then I'm going to go forth, and if you're going to speak and put labels like alien abductees, if you're going to use an example where you post the leader, one of the leaders of our community with other individuals, you will never see, not once, I'm going to call out not once has Anika or Jabari ever asked me to kneel down and rub their feet. Not once. They have never asked me to do anything as a demand. They have never came in front of me or no one in my presence and stated that they were God. They have never come and talked to me about being abducted. None of that. So when you put our see Jabari and Nika, they commit they what they did is they created a haven, a place. But we are the caretakers, the priests, the initiates. We all the caretakers here at the Shrine of Ma'at. So next time, because I'm an elder, I've been around a long time. I've been walking this path a long time. So I'm calling out that individual. You know who you are. My number is 347-664-7020. Let me say it again for you. 347-664-7020. Because if you're going to speak on a person, they need a representative. I gladly be that representative. I gladly sit down with you and have that conversation. You understand where I'm coming from? Because it's nothing wrong with bringing forth something, especially when you mention that you like the person. If you like someone, then you be true and just with them, even if you don't agree. You should have called that person up and said, I want to do this. I want to put this forth, and I want to. I don't understand this, but maybe me and you can sit down together. And do you mind? You can go live with it. I'm sure that our Intepi, Jabari, or Nikki would have gladly sit down on an open forum with you, because a lot of things are taken out of contents while online. I even myself in a text message read something and mistook it the wrong way and answered back fiery. It happens. It happens. That's life. But as we always said, we always smooth my heart. When I found out, oh boy, I mistook. Please forgive me. That's not my intention. That's always happening. And you probably didn't even think you was being. It could be a natural thing. I'm not going to say because I did several times hear you say, I like that brother. So I'm going to go with your words. I can't, but I feel that you was unjust without bringing that with the brother there or any of them there. Should have been present. So anytime, this is not a threat or anything, I come in harmony. You know what I'm saying? But if you want to have an open discussion, please give me a call. As one of the elders, see, we just don't have a priest and a priestess. We have elders. We recognize our elders. I'm just one of them. It's several of us in this. We also have married couples. You understand? So when you speak forth, you must speak forth in truth. And that's all we saying. And lastly, as my brother was pointing out throughout history, they have used things against us. One of the things they learned back in the 60s about the Nation of Islam, the Black Panther Party, is that these were not unintelligent men and women. Some of them were college studying philosophies, scholars, they were physics, they were bright individuals. And you'll find out that one of the key things they found out is that we were reading the newspaper. They found out, oh man, we were reading the Times and all these other, we were not just, looking at television. So the first thing your enemy does is use a tool against you, which was the newspaper. Television is a tool. As Baba Huru always says, TV set and set. Don't they sound kind of familiar to you? So remember this. It is us, the individual, that will be the harmony or the other scale of the balance when we see injustice happening in community. But the reason why we didn't understand the unharmony that was being brought forth in our community, we always looking outside of self. And as long as you keep looking outside self, if you keep looking for someone else to be the star representative instead of you, then no, this will continue to happen. It will happen over and over and over again because everybody's not looking within inside self. What you'll notice about Kemetic spirituality and the essence of our ancestors is that they took a close look at self. Them thousands of years of journeying from the interior Africa following the Happy River helped them develop systems and customs that by the time they got to the land that was unnamed, it wasn't even called Kemet. When the first ancestors, a colony from Taiseti, wandered into there. The homework that we give you today is what were the names of those group of people that first went into the land that became known as Kemet. And on that path, and until it encompasses a lot of things. It encompasses that once you start slowing down and start wandering, they wandered, they sat still. You start questioning, wondering where I come from, what I'm doing. You look at what is the meaning of all things. And you start formulating. Every society does this. So I don't want them to say, oh, it's not formulated in any other society. Every society will do this once they slow down and stop and they all questions. Where do I come from? What is this? How do we develop customs? Some of them will seem similar and some of them won't. So the first thing I will stride in this lesson that you learned today is what my brother was asking you. It's the code of ethics begins with you. And from you having your standards and your principles and some ideas that you'll firmly stand on, you won't waver. This is me. Know thyself. Know thyself. Know thyself to be true. I'm going to tell you, as a priest, sometimes I have a bad day. Bottle Tito, thank you. Head up. Sometimes I go out and party. Yeah, hey, I am to myself true. But I try to bring my art every day. I try to work on my art in me to manifest outwards to whoever I come in contact with. And that helps me follow the Ma'at ethics that some of our great writers, Ptah Hotep, who's another one? I got them. Well, mostly Amen Omenta Pet. All these people, we have priests and priestesses that wrote stuff down. And so we're going to use those things to build on every day. So the message I came in to chime in finally, I hope I didn't rant too long, is self. Know thyself. That's all this comes down to. It's simple. It's not brain rocket science. There's nothing, we're not out here. This is not for, I told you this path, if you, especially you in my Bako group, I tell you that this path that you're walking on, you walk it. Nobody else can walk this for you. Things will become revealed to you as you walk this journey. And I've been walking this journey, almost 30 years, maybe longer. I don't know, something like that. And every day, new things come about. You will see that as you get older, certain things will change. And so you remember that old Bible scripture, we don't like to call on it, but they stole from us, but it's there. When I was a child, I did childish things. And when I became a man, I put away childish things. The good thing about being a Kimite, I still keep some of my childish things because I like to have an innocent heart. Hey, I like to come lighthearted. And I figured out the best way to come lighthearted is to come like a 6-year-old, maybe even younger, innocent, joyful, playful. I fall down, I cry, brother, and then I get myself up. I'm always looking for a playmate. Tag, you in. So I like to leave you with that. I want you to, I chime in a little bit because I want you to know that this spiritual journey that you're on and these lessons that we are sharing with you, it's joyful. Some people look at it really hard. Okay, if you're a real serious person, okay, I will not fault you. That's your way. But if you're gonna do it with a light heart. Be observant. Little kids are very observant. They see stuff and they'll tell it right on out there. Oh, I seen that. And you be like, will you please be quiet? But that's how you have to be. So the divine spirit in me reach all the divine spirits out there. I just had to chime in for a little bit. And I'll turn it, who do I turn this back over to? Because I can go on sometimes. So turn this back over. Abu Watson, no, Shashat, you can take back the reign. Because I can go out there, right? I can go. I can go, but I'm going to
Well,
stay.
I just want to say thank you on behalf of people who are in the chat. People really appreciated what you said, Abu Ames. So, and those of us who are in the Wenwet, we have 6 of our 9 Wenwet. And then of course, we have our high priestess and priest, Anika and Jabari. And when we have our Wenwet training and get together and stuff, Ames and I are usually the ones wilding out, having fun, talking, whatever, right?
Mhm.
Like he said, he's an elder and he has a lot of wisdom, and that's a part of what makes it a lot of fun to have him in our Wenwet and to be a part of the things that we put together for the shrine and for the people, and so he can be lots of fun, but he's also dropping these nuggets, these gems of information to add on to the young prince Abu Kansekumwe Tehuti, who brings it just the way Ahmed does, a little younger version of it though. So I definitely saw the baton go from Tahuti to Ahmed, and he gave it right back to Tahuti, and it's lovely to see. It really is. You can learn from the youth, and I'm not calling Tahuti youth at this point. I'm hard stop on the last statement, new statement. We can learn from the youth, and we can learn from our elders, and of course, we know we learn from the ancestors, and we pay respect to wherever we are able to derive that information and that knowledge. So, Dua, thank you for what you said, Ames, for real. So we're gonna hand the baton back over to Kasekamwe, and you can continue from there.
I think I
No.
believe.
Yeah, I wanted to allow some of the other Winwet to chime in and give their thoughts. It was, I think, Abu was that you, Abu Wasrat? You was trying to say something?
I was saying that Abu Kepra had already mentioned that he wanted to chime in and give some words.
Ankama family, I want to chime right in with the elder Abu Amis. It's so important as we stand on Ma'at, as we stand on this foundation of Ma'at. I want to read something from the book of Ankh Shenshanki. And this is part of the Sebaid. This is what our ancestors taught. And one of the things that we are doing is we are following in the footsteps of our ancestors. And I can't find that quote right now in the Hosea, but I hope to find it before we leave because that's one of my favorite quotes, following in the footsteps of our ancestors. But I want to read this piece from the book of Ancient Shanki. Listen what it says. And this is what we are attempting to do here at the Shrine of Ma'at, and also too as we build institutions. So listen what our Ancient Shanki says. He says, serve Neter, that he, she may protect you. Serve your brothers and sisters that you may enjoy a good reputation. Serve a wise person that he or she may serve you. Serve one who serves you. Serve any person so you may benefit from it. And serve your mother and father that you may go forward and prosper. Examine every matter that you may understand it. Do not say, I am learned, but rather set yourself to become wise. Be gentle and patient. Then your character will be beautiful. Your character will be nefer. It is in the development of character that instruction succeeds. And I want to repeat this. It is in the development of character that instruction succeeds. Learn the structure and functioning of the sky. As Abu Kamsekaway was saying, and Abu Amis, we study Neter, we study nature, and we learn from nature. Learn the structure and functioning of the earth. The good fortune of a town is a leader who acts righteously. The good fortune of a temple is its priest. The good fortune of a field is the time it is worked. The good fortune of a storehouse is the stocking of it. And the good fortune of the wise is their excellent advice. So one of the things I want to be clear, and as Abu Amis is saying as an elder, we are putting together institutions where we develop good character, where we develop right character. You understand what I'm saying? And we're not saying that we're holier than thou or better than anyone else. And you know, as Abu Kamsekaway was speaking and Abu Amis was speaking, I was thinking of the 42 laws of Ma'at. And I'm going to add that too before I close with the 42 laws of Ma'at. But this is what we are trying to do here at the Shrine of Ma'at. And not only the Shrine of Ma'at, any of the Kemetic shrines around the United States or around the world, we want to establish Ma'at. This is what we're trying to do. You know, as they talk about Hetep, peace, talking about myrrh, talking about love, those are certainly things that we need in our community. You can turn on the news anytime and hear about young brothers blazing with their guns and our children being murdered, maimed sometimes, and hurt by gunfire. I stand up as an elder on Ma'at with Abu Amis and the rest of the Wenwet, because this is our charge. This is something that we are doing. What are we leaving our children? You know, as I was talking with the Wenwet earlier, of course, we want to leave financial stability with our families, but also, too, we also want to leave good values and ways that we treat each other in love, where we treat each other with patience, where we talk to each other in kindness and respectability. This is what our African ancestors left for us as models to follow. No, we're not saying that everything was perfect in our African societies. Of course, the mark of any great society is evolution and being able to evolve and being able to learn from the mistakes and errors that we made in the past. That's evolution. That's growth. We learn from elders. We learn from the youth in the shrine. So it's a two-way street. You understand what I'm saying? I know one day all of us here on this call and this ascension, one day we'll leave this planet. One day we'll make our journey away from Geb, and we have to stand before Asar and give account for how we led our lives. And as Abu Kamsekaway is saying, and Abu Ames and all the Wenwet here, what we represent Ma'at from the Shrine of Ma'at, is that we want to just offer a different way of being, a different way of living, a different lifestyle, a lifestyle that talks about the beauty of our people and our culture. Some of these ways here in the West, they want us to deny our Africanness. Is it any wonder that some of us have mental confusion? Some of us are scared to even pick up our culture. Pick up your ankh and pick up your culture and stand firmly and stand in your power. Your ancestors are your foundation. We stand on their shoulders and we come forth in Ma'at and we come forth in Myrrh. And I'm going to say this one last thing. You know, one of the things, like when we talk about when we study nature, you look at the lioness. She's with her cubs. She's so gentle and patient. But step to one of her cubs and see what kind of second energy will come out. We are about peace and love. That's what we are trying to establish. And you know, I'm gonna say one more thing, and I'm gonna do this right here because this is where spirit is leading me to. And I'm gonna read it real quickly. And one way, don't beat me up, but I gotta read this here. This came out of the Shrine of Ptah. This is the 42 oracles of Ma'at that we had received when we were initiated in the Shrine of Ptah. And you know, you hear Jabari talk about the Shrine of Ma'at being a branch on the tree of the Shrine of Ptah. And I'm going to move through it quickly, but this was the 42 oracles of Ma'at that we do our best to stand on. I will do no wrong. I will not steal. I will not act with violence. And I'm going to stop here 1 minute because certainly we have violence in our communities, right? I will not kill. I will not be unjust. I will not cause pain. I will not desecrate holy places. I will not lie. I will not waste food. I will not speak evil. I will not commit sodomy. I will not cause the shedding of tears. I will not sow seeds of regret. I will not be an aggressor. I will not act guilefully. In other words, I will not act in a sneaky fashion, do things that are underhanded behind someone's back. I will not lay waste the plowed land. I will not enter into a conspiracy. I will not bear false witness. I will not be wrathful and angry except for a just cause. I will not commit adultery. I will not commit adultery. And that was given 2 times. I will not pollute myself. I will not cause terror. I will not pollute the earth. I will not speak in hot anger. I will not turn from words of right and truth. I will not utter curses except against evil. I will not initiate a quarrel. I will not be excitable or contentious. I will not prejudge. I will not be an eavesdropper. I will not speak over much. I will not commit treason against my ancestors. Accept your culture and don't commit treason against your ancestors, African. I will not waste water. I will not do evil. I will not be arrogant. I will not blaspheme the one most high. I will not commit fraud. I will not defraud temple offerings. I will not plunder the dead. I will not mistreat children. I will not mistreat animals. And in closing, as Abu Amish said, the 10 Commandments, you can see where they came out of the house of Cam. So Africans stand proudly on the foundation of Ma'at and move forth always in power. And I said, Tuau Inter, Tuau Inter, Tuau Inter.
Tahu Winter.
So,
All I want to say is,
Ah,
see, when I used to be in church, I'd get up and do a hallelujah. But since I'm still in church, we just call it Ascension. I'm going to say, to our winter, thank you to the divine. Ashe, Ashe, oh, Ashe, Ashe, oh.
oh.
Because spirit is all up in here today.
yes. So, did anyone, Abu Twasaret, did you want to say something?
All I want to say is Dua to Abu Kamsekenwe, Abu Ames, and Abu Kepra. Everything was wonderful. Ashe to everything that you said. To everything that you said. You know, just thank you. Dua, Dua.
Okay. So, Adam Ada Miami 720. Just DM the Shrine of Ma'at, and I'll get the DM. Okay, and I wanted a copy of that version of the 42 laws myself. So just DM the Shrine, and with your contact information, and I'll get it to you when I'm able to get it. Okay. So yeah, I just want to say dua and Tur as well to our three priests who are on this morning. It's we prepped for it. We said we're going to do X, Y, Z, A, B, C, and then
Here
one
come
of
a
our
mess.
priestesses said, "What'd you say on this?"
I said, then here come a mess.
No, well, kind of, because Abu Mahert said, "Well, we're going to go where spirit leads us."
Mhm.
So we prep and all of that, and then you jump in and you roll with wherever spirit takes you is what you need, is what the people need. It's kind of what I do with Tuesday Talk. I prepare, and then boom, we roll live, and you get what you get with live. And live with spirit is always, as Jason Holmes said, on fire. As Ascension was today,
Dude,
it definitely was.
dude. So can I
Yes,
just interject something a moment? As
absolutely.
as we were, and I'm always in retrospect thinking about numbers, and we had the one, the two, the three, which is certainly the Trinity, and it
Mhm.
was absolutely the Heru that came forth as the younger, and then we had the elder who came forth, and then we had another elder, not quite so elder, okay, but bringing it forth in hmm, because as you give, you receive,
Mhm.
which is what you were saying, but always coming back to us. We cannot give what we do not have, but it's in our DNA. All we got to do is dig for it. To thy own self be true. So do I, do I, do I, do I.
Mhm. So before I pass this back over to Kasekamwe, because I'm not sure if he's finished, on the temple walls in Kemet, you see, know thyself. So when you hear people saying, to thine own self be true, know yourself, um, what did the brothers, the rappers, the hip hop artists in the 90s, was, oh, knowledge of self. Knowledge
Mhm.
of self. All of these things are the call of your ancestors to say, learn who you are. And just like Abu Kafir said, pick up your own culture and don't be afraid to do that. I have had or I have had conversations with people who are afraid to pick up the culture, and I've tried to just get one one of them to just for a second just be honest with themselves and me, to just say, I'm afraid to do this because I'm afraid to do that because I'm afraid to do, whatever it is, that one little sliver that they would admit. And I have yet to have someone really just open up and say what it is. What can we do about it? You can't do anything about trying to get this person to speak to you about it, but you can walk in the truth. You can walk in knowledge. You can walk in your culture. In our modern society, we hear, well, this is my truth, and that is so and so's truth, and that's so and so's truth. There's only one truth. There's only one universal truth. People might have perspectives and opinions and experiences, and those perspectives, opinions, and experiences are valid and authentic to them. But it's not a truth. There's not a whole bunch of truths running around here. There are people's experiences and perspectives which are valid and should be honored. Don't get me wrong; they are valid and should be honored. But there is just the truth. There's one. Do your best to live in that. And when we make mistakes, we just saruj ma'at. Because in Kemetic spiritual practices, you are responsible for you and your behavior, and you will be judged on the things that you did with your life. You will be judged. You are responsible for you, but you are also divine. Whether you know it or not, whether you work on awakening that divinity or not, to use it or not, is up to you. Learning about your ancestors, learning about your culture helps you pick up, helps you awaken that divinity within you, so that you can make better choices and live in Ma'at, and 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 really have a better time in being responsible for you and your own actions. Okay, so that's my little tidbit that I want to give before I turn the mic back over to Abu Kansekamwe. It is yours.
Do I to all the wind wet? Um, yeah, I agree with you 1000%. About your shot. Um, I'm just gonna say one more thing, and then I'm gonna pass the mic to whoever else wants to say anything. Um, so just a reminder, uh, by living a holistic lifestyle, we follow Neter, we follow nature. And by following and observing Neter, we are able to follow the code, and that code should trump everything. Let me just remind you all that is the whole point of what I'm saying. Your code, no matter who you are, uh, you always can Saruj Ma'at. You could always Saruj Ma'at, right? So follow your code, follow the ancestors, observe Neter, and you will always be able to Saruj Ma'at. So with that being said, Anka Ma'at, Shema Hotep.
Good night.
So whoever else, let you close.
Yes, and so with the closing of our ascension today, we have Abu Kepra.
Ankamai family. This prayer I'm going to do, this is one of the oldest prayers that our ancestors left for us to consider, and it's called the Amasu prayer. And the prayer, it goes, Amasu inpa inter,
I'm in Surin Patenter.
sa uksu emitra inpa inter,
Saraksu in Patenter.
atua ura maketi pa herura. And that prayer translates as, give yourself to the one most high,
Give yourself to the one most high,
and do it tomorrow just as you did it today.
and do it tomorrow just as you did it today.
Just want to say
Next time we want to hear everybody with us. Next time we like to hear everyone with us.
very, very beautiful prayer. You know, a prayer to really consider and think about as you move forward in your journey in my eye. So I'm gonna give it back over to Abu Sishat.
Well, I want to say, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Abu Mahert.
So I really want to do this.
Go ahead.
I'm a suing panta, so suing net ran panta, maketi pa, maketi pa herua. Twanter. And I'm done.
And with that, we want to thank you for joining us today for Ascension. And we will see you back here in 2 weeks. And we would definitely appreciate donations. And I'm going to put in the Cash App. It's $ Shrine of Ma'at, Shrine of Ma'at. There we go. So we will see you again in 2 weeks, and let this message resonate with you. And until then, Shema Ma'at, which means go forth in peace.
Shema Ma'at, family.
Shema Ma'at.